Before I get into the meat of this video, I want to take us back to chapter 100 of the series. The legend has begun, in which we meet Dragon. These are things that cannot be stopped: inherited will, the destiny of an age, and the dreams of its people. As long as people continue to pursue the meaning of freedom, these things will never cease to be. Gold Roger, Pirate King. What exactly is the Will of D? We still don't know, but what we understand is that the Will of D is a continuous thing that is transcending time. Throughout generations, it's been known that the D will cause a storm wherever they go. The Will of D is something that's been asked about for a long time in SBSs about what Luffy's last name means. Again, chapter 100, in which the inherited will is discussed, it's become a symbol in One Piece. The letter D and what it means. When Robin saw Luffy after he was beaten by a crocodile in Alabasta, she asked him, "Those of you who carry the name of D, why do you fight?" The implications behind this, I think, can be important towards the end of the series, because we still don't know exactly what happened in the Void Century, but based on implication, more than likely the D, they fought against what is now the world government and they lost, but they had countermeasures in place. One thing is the recent reveal of the true name of Raftel, which is actually Laugh Tale. So the meaning of the D is going to be important, or even more important, as the story goes on. I don't want to get too deep into the Will of D because this is a part of the video, but the purpose is to compare Marshall D. Teach, Blackbeard, and Rocks D. Xebec, because I think they're connected in some way. I mentioned inherited will earlier because I think that's the main comparison between Rocks and Blackbeard, but I guess we can entertain the idea of Marshall D. Teach and Rocks D. Xebec being related, but we'll get to that a bit later. One thing that's been prevalent throughout the series is the comparison of Luffy and Roger. A lot of prominent characters have used this opportunity to compare Luffy to Roger in some way, either his demeanor, looks, just the way they go about their business, from protecting their crew, their steadfast ideals. It's almost a foregone conclusion that Luffy is the direct parallel to Roger. From Rayleigh in his flashbacks when he's thinking about Luffy and how he compares him to Roger, to Shanks even betting himself or betting his arm on the future and giving the straw hat to Luffy. In more ways than one, Luffy is compared to Roger. From the construction of his crew, even to his own dreams. I think it's a safe assumption. It's not a strict science to what the Will of D entails, but one thing we know is that most cataclysmic events, the D's are somehow involved. From Luffy to Roger to Ace, even Saul, Garp, Dragon, Rouge, Law, and Xebec. In ways you can say it's fortuitous, it's expected. When a D is involved, major events are going to happen, and think about the D's that are currently in Wano. The fireworks from this arc are going to be insane, but let's bring it back. Let's focus on Blackbeard and why I think Blackbeard and Xebec must be connected. First off, Blackbeard as a character is an anomaly in One Piece in which he is a D, but there are moments that he showed which did not signify or did not show continuity of that bloodline. The main moment is when Whitebeard was about to apparently kill him with a Quake Fist, and he started crying and begging for his life. One of the traits of the D's are that they smile in the face of death, in the face of danger. Luffy's done it several times. The most prominent time, early pre-time skip, was when Buggy was about to chop his head off, and he said, "I'm dead." He was ready to die. The thing is with Blackbeard though, the story is trying to tell us that he's different in more ways than one. For Luffy as the main character, there are going to be a bunch of exceptions, things that happen and they're one-offs because they've never happened before and they won't happen again. Blackbeard as the antithesis of Luffy, these things are happening to him as well, and it's weird, it's odd. The history of Blackbeard, from what we know, it goes back to Whitebeard's ship, in which he was on the ship for decades, and we know the purpose of it. He was searching for the Yami Yami no Mi, and what better way than to be on Whitebeard's ship? He came across it, or well, his crewmate came across it, he killed his crewmate, and he left the ship. That was the one rule Whitebeard had on his ship, and that was something he was willing to make an exception for. The major thing he said, "You should not do on my ship is to kill a crewmate or to harm a crewmate," and Blackbeard did just that, and Whitebeard was willing to make an exception. Why? We can go down the rabbit hole with a ton of reasons, but for right now, just keep that in mind. Now let's talk about Blackbeard's ascension and the things that Blackbeard continues to do, and he continuously does, that goes beyond the scope of One Piece. It's almost as if Oda has set things in place, One Piece parameters, and Luffy breaks them from time to time, but Blackbeard continuously breaks them. Blackbeard as a character is polarizing. You can't tell me after reading chapter 225. That's the chapter after Luffy and Zoro got beat down by Bellamy and his guys, and they go outside and Blackbeard almost gives them a pep talk. The new age those guys talk about is total bullshit. A man's dream never ends. I'm going to come back to this a bit later, but Blackbeard as a character is ambitious. but he's wholesome. But he's evil, but he's calculated. As we progress throughout the story and we find out more about Blackbeard, the more interesting he is because he doesn't fit the mold of what a typical One Piece character is. He runs when he needs to, but I don't think he's a coward because he fights when he needs to. But then he's also lucky. Go back to Impel Down, when they all got overwhelmed by Magellan because they were caught off guard, right? Shiryu shows up and he has an antidote. And then they question him like, you can't be reckless like that. He said, well, things just seem to work out from time to time. After leaving Whitebeard's ship and having the Yami Yami no Mi, he said that if he didn't find that fruit, he was going to give up on his dream. However, came across this devil fruit that he had been looking for, the one devil fruit he had been searching for. Came across that devil fruit. Then his goal was to apprehend Luffy, deliver him to the world government, become a warlord, break into Impel Down, and recruit stronger crewmates. He already had crewmates, but he wanted even stronger people around him. That's where he got Shiryu, Avila Pizarro, Katarina Devon. Shiryu even said he'd been searching or waiting for a man like Blackbeard. With fortuitous luck, Ace came after him after he was told by Whitebeard not to go after Blackbeard. Then after that, captured Ace, turned Ace in, and that led to the Marineford War, in which Whitebeard took advantage of and gained Whitebeard's devil fruit. It's almost as if things played out exactly the way they needed to for Blackbeard to become the powerhouse that he is now. With all this being said, why do I compare Blackbeard to Xebec? Why must that be the inherited will? Well, first off, when you dissect Blackbeard, no one ever thinks that Blackbeard's goal is specifically or strictly just to become Pirate King. Blackbeard, when he acquired the Gura no Mi at Marineford, he said, I have the power to return everything to nothing, the gravity of darkness, and the power to destroy everything, the power of earthquakes. I've got it all. Nobody can stand against me anymore. I am the strongest man in the world. This is my age. So that chapter is important for a variety of reasons. Not only the fact that Blackbeard had now arrived and he had announced that he had arrived. This showed Blackbeard's ambition. Like these two devil fruits, he wanted them for a specific reason. So it's a few things to point out. Now, Blackbeard was an anomaly within the series. He was something that was explained could not exist in the series. He had two devil fruits and two of the strongest devil fruits in One Piece. Secondly, Marco made a comment. He said, it would be impossible for a normal human. But you should know that Teach is a little different. The very structure of his body is strange. Then he asked the question, is that how he pulled it off? Jump back to Jaya really quickly, because after Blackbeard gave the pep talk to Nami, Luffy, and Zoro, they had a moment there in which Nami said, do you think he knows something about Sky Island? And then Luffy said, it's not him. And him and Zoro said it's them. Now this has been, I think, somehow misconstrued a bit because I think the implication here is that he's not alone and he's with his crewmates. However, the other way people were taking it is that Blackbeard is not one entity. There's more than one presence residing within him. Personally, I'm not willing to make that jump because the context is there as you continue reading. However, it somehow supports the Marco comment. Blackbeard, after acquiring the Gura, said, show it to the world, to all the boring, peace-loving citizens, to the Marines, to the world government, and to all the pirates out there. The world's future has been decided. Again, from now on, this is my age. So, further context. Before Whitebeard died, they had a flashback in which Gold Roger said he would tell Whitebeard about the will of D. Whitebeard then specifically said to Blackbeard that the one that Roger is waiting for is not him. I think at first it stumped a lot of people. It stumped me. I was confused as to what Whitebeard was talking about. Like, how could he know that the D that Roger is waiting for is not Blackbeard? Is it a persona? Is it his tactics? What is it? Is it his presence? I think as you go on, you understand parallels in inherited will. And I think something that's major throughout, again, other than inherited will, is just recurring events. Things that happened and somehow it comes all the way back around to happen again. The era of Roger. You anticipated or expected at some point someone would inherit Roger's will and become the Pirate King again. In our estimation, that's Luffy. Something that had been deleted or erased from the history of One Piece, and it wasn't mentioned at all till chapter 957. Of course, there'd been hints. Chapter 907 was one of those where we talked about the Rocks pirates. I think Gold Roger accomplished a lot by becoming the Pirate King. But I think to the world government, that's the lesser of two evils that includes the Rocks, or Rocks D Xebec. Because if Rocks had accomplished what he set out to accomplish, which was becoming the world king, obviously the world government would not exist. So for them, they'd rather acknowledge Roger as the Pirate King than to even entertain or to speak of Rocks because of his ambition. And I think the same goes for Luffy and Blackbeard. And going forward, I think even Marines view it this way, in which they view Blackbeard as just something that must be stopped. He's a power that must be stopped, as opposed to Luffy, in which a lot of terrible things happen with Luffy, but you understand just how much more dangerous Blackbeard is. The same for Rocks and Roger. And they said that Xebec was the most formidable opponent of Roger. Now to Xebec. To become the world king, that means not just acquiring poneglyphs, not just defeating other strong pirates. That means taking down the world government. Sengoku referred to him as a terrorist. And something I want to point out, in the Viz translation, Sengoku said the Rocks pirates were a collection of individuals who came together on the pirate island of Fullerhead, or the Pirates Island Beehive, whatever you want to call it, to make one big score. Based on that implication, was the goal to just destroy the world government because of everything that had been going against the current individual pirates? At that point, Big Mom, Kaido, they weren't as prominent as they are now, but they were up-and-coming powerhouses. They've been chased before by the world government. And then something else that I think added to it was the fact that Sengoku said, Rocks, he broke too many of the world's taboos. Meaning, Xebec had knowledge of the Void Century, from the poneglyphs to the ancient weapons to slavery to whatever happened to the D clan back then. I think it was a quiet vengeance, well, maybe not so quiet, in Rocks to avenge not only the D clan, but to lead whatever the world government had established to ruin. And with this, they removed every information about Rocks from the public. And as stated, Rocks only exists in the memories of a few soldiers of the old generation. Rocks' method: recruit strong pirates. A bunch of strong pirates so that we can accomplish this goal, which is to make me the world king, because I pretty much know too much. So the world government, they want to get rid of me. So for me to oppose them, I need strong allies. And by letting these characters know, or these individual pirates know about the taboos of the world government, that's how you can get them to join you. You remove the great opposition that is the world government, everyone wins. But how does this compare to Blackbeard? Go back to Impel Down again, how he recruited those strong pirates to join him for whatever reason. I think he sold a similar message of achieving great power and doing whatever he wants to do, and they followed him. Blackbeard is a man of interesting charisma, and I believe Rocks was the same way, or Xebec was the same way. Let's jump back again to the Marineford thing, in which Whitebeard said to Blackbeard, "You're not the man Roger is waiting for." As far as Roger's goal and what Rayleigh said in regards to the conclusion they came to, they figured out the history of the world. And he said that Luffy and his crew, they might come to a different conclusion. The conclusion Rocks came to, or Xebec, was that the world government should go, was that they deserve a new king. That was his conclusion. Not saying that Rocks found the One Piece, but I think Rocks found out enough that he came to a conclusion already saying, we have to get rid of the world government. For Roger, his conclusion was that we do not have the strength, or I don't have the necessary time to accomplish what I need to accomplish. So in that case, for Rocks and Roger, it's similar to like Sasuke and Itachi, in which they both Ds, both powerful, but when they got to a point, they came to completely opposite conclusions. Itachi's conclusion was to protect the Leaf Village, while Sasuke's conclusion was to destroy it. I think in a way, Rocks and Roger could have similar goals or similar conclusions. One obviously was just destroy and burn it all, while Roger, I think it was a bit more calculated, in which he understood that he probably had to get rid of the celestial dragons, but just didn't have the time to do so. If Roger explained this to Whitebeard, the will of D, whatever the One Piece is, the goal of the One Piece, he would know that someone like Blackbeard, who's so intent on destroying everything and having the power to destroy, the power to remove, he would know that Blackbeard is not the person that can carry on the will of Roger. That person is Luffy. What Blackbeard can carry on, though, is the will of Xebec. And even more so, we can go forward to Blackbeard's ship. It's called the Saber of Xebec. I think Blackbeard knows of his history, knows of the Rocks, from having a devil fruit book, from knowing how to consume 2 devil fruits. He could just be special in which he can do it himself, but having the knowledge to know that I might be different or know how to do it. Either he was helped at a young age. People were comparing it to Madara and Obito. I don't want to go that far. However, Blackbeard has been aided in some way. It's possible that Rocks created his own One Piece. He left his own things behind for someone to inherit his will after he moves on. That person is obviously Blackbeard. Again, they could be related. It's possible that he is the son of Xebec. And it's also interesting that, let's say Blackbeard is continuing the will of Xebec. Whitebeard was Xebec's subordinate. Blackbeard was Whitebeard's subordinate. Gold Roger defeated Xebec. Blackbeard defeated Ace. Because of Ace, Whitebeard died. Ace died. And now Blackbeard inherited Whitebeard's power, and now Blackbeard is fulfilling Rocks' legacy. It's all intertwined. That's why going back to chapter 154, entering Alabasta, the Drum Kingdom chapter, it's all interesting stuff. There's also been discussion about Rocks and Blackbeard having the same devil fruit. Now, I don't want to completely throw this out the window, but there are a few things here that could drive a wedge in that theory, or it could cause some problems. The main thing is the fact that there was no reaction from Garp, Whitebeard, even Sengoku when Blackbeard was using the Yami Yami no Mi. Whitebeard, he was a subordinate of Rocks. Garp fought directly against Rocks. If that's the case, we should have seen something or some indication from Garp, even in chapter 907, when Garp was talking about Rocks probably coming back. If that is indeed the case, there should have been mention about Blackbeard's devil fruit and the Yami Yami no Mi coming back again. Blackbeard seeking out the Yami Yami no Mi as the first thing that could propel him to where he is now. I think that's very important, and that could be something that Rocks passed down, but I don't think it's set in stone that that was necessarily Rox's devil fruit. There's also speculation that the Murmur no Mi could be his devil fruit. That's possible because he wanted to see the world burn. It adds context, but I'm not sure. Murmur or Yami Yami, I'm fine with either one. Preferably, I would like it to be the Yami Yami no Mi. Who knows? The puzzles are coming together slowly, and we're learning more and more. Personally, I think it's the best time to be a One Piece fan. So much information, so much greatness. And again, if you've been reading One Piece for a while, no one in their right mind ever thought that Blackbeard's final destination was just becoming Pirate King. Blackbeard wants to destroy it all, or to be in power. And if Blackbeard does know of the throne where M sits, guaranteed that's what he's aiming for. Not just an arbitrary title, and I don't want to downplay the title of Pirate King, but I think true power in Blackbeard's mind would come from becoming the World King, in which you control the government, because the government, that's who's really in power. I know that was a mouthful, but it was just a lot to connect. And 957, again, an epic chapter, a chapter of dreams, you could say. Like, this chapter is something that you only dream about, where you get Whitebeard's bounty, Roger's bounty, another Yonko level character. Because we said that Rocks could be strong, but maybe he wasn't as strong as the people beneath him. This chapter implied that Rocks was very much so on Roger's level. I'm sorry, One Piece is just the greatest. Leave your thoughts below. How do you feel about everything I just said? Do you think Blackbeard and Xebec are connected, or do you think it's just chance? With the continuity of inherited will in One Piece, I think it makes sense. This is something that has to happen, and Blackbeard and Luffy are going to be on opposing sides again, in which they're trying to carry out different things for the end of the world, or for the end of the world government. I expect great things, but again, let me know your thoughts. Like the video if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.